Welcome back. You're watching Business Morning on Channels Television. My next guest on the program is the Group Managing Director of Afrinvest West Africa, Chioke. Chioke joins me on the program to take a look at Nigeria's economy and the markets in 2017. And of course, we'll be doing a review of 2016 and what needs to be done in 2017. It's good morning to you. Thank you so much to have you. Thank you so much for joining me on the program. It's a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you, Harry.
So we're talking about the state of the economy, and 2017 has actually started out on a very interesting note, of course, taking a look at, first of all, the markets where the Central Bank of Nigeria held a Treasury bills auction and the Debt Management Office held its bond auction for the year. But then Afrinvest, in looking at the economy and the markets, put out a report. Why is it that the report focused more on reform or be relegated?
The reason we chose that title was we wanted to step back and say that, all too often we encounter problems in Nigeria and we then take a palliative solution. We kind of scratch around the edges to solve it. Give you an example. You were just talking about the oil price environment, and we noticed last year that we needed to make an adjustment, and then we came up with the price modulation strategy, which brought the current 145 naira per liter. But now the underpinnings of that structure is tied to the price of oil per barrel, is tied to the exchange rate, and as soon as those variables begin to shift, you then find that it becomes not sustainable. But if you are taking a wholesale reform of the downstream petroleum sector, or perhaps even look more broadly at the entire oil industry, we've been talking about the PIB for years, then you could get to a solution that's workable, which would actually then begin to give life to this oft-spoken idea of reviving our refineries. If you don't have a reformed downstream sector, you can't actually go down to that refinery and repair them. And so those are some of the issues we see. Another one was when we tried to deregulate the FX market environment. They did all the work with FMDQ. Said we were told we had a floating exchange rate system, but CBN has finally admitted as a managed float. Again, this is a palliative solution. It's just almost there, but not quite. And then you then find that other issues can then come around and then stop that solution from working. As we see currently.
So what reform expectations, does Afrinvest have?
So when we looked at Nigeria, we compared ourselves to other comparable emerging markets. Take Brazil, take Russia, take Egypt, take South Africa. And we noted that some of those are also commodity-driven economies like ours, although they're a bit more diversified. Very quickly, once commodity prices started coming down in 2014, began to adjust their expenditure, they began to adjust the exchange rate and allow them very quickly to come out of that problem. Many of them had difficulties in 2015, but when you look at 2016, they've all pretty much rebounded. Take Brazil. They saw a decline in FDI flows in 2015, $261 billion was what they had. By 2015, by 2016, they are seeing above $300 billion of FDI flows from the reforms they took very quickly in 2016. Also, they had a devaluation in 2015, but their currencies already rebounded in 2016 and it's already made up the losses. But we've been very slow to adjust, and this is just difficulty in adjustment that is continually making the pains of the reform more difficult. And of course, it's all trickling down to the common man on the street. Unemployment, inflation.
So do you think that Nigeria would tread that path of taking the tough choices, making those tough choices to ensure that the common man on the street, those in the middle class, and even those who are supposed to be elitists, because it seems as if even the rich are also crying at this particular time, benefit from these palliatives and these reforms that need to be done?
Yes, you see, back in 2015, we were suggesting that you needed to actually take those reforms very quickly. Because you always worry about the pass-through effect. Of course, if I devalue because we import a lot of things, there's going to be a knock-on effect on inflation. If I move the tariff price of petrol, it will hit transport costs and very quickly other things. But if you couple that with broader sector reform, say in the oil and gas sector, that can attract investment into the industry and particularly foreign direct investment. If the government were to, as part of the reform, sell down their stake from like being a majority to a significant minority, that can have a huge impact on foreign direct investment and foreign portfolio investment. That would then very quickly, within a year or two, begin to cushion the effect of those inflationary pass-through effects that you had as a consequence of the monetary policy adjustments you've just made. What we're advocating that you need to think about it from a holistic point of view. It's not really taking a solution from one end of the room while there are 2 or 3 other variables that you have pretended don't exist. And that is not an appropriate way to do it.
So oil and gas still seems to be the most favored for investors at this particular time. Does Afrinvest think otherwise with regards to sectors that maybe investors will be favoring?
No, not actually. I don't think oil and gas is on our top list. We will probably go for agriculture. You can see there's a lot of focus in that sector. We would like to take the banking sector. They've done reasonably okay, 2% up for the year 2016. Tier 1 banks would be our pick, just to be on the safer side. We'll look at construction, perhaps at least the cement industry, because some of the government policies, particularly in construction and agriculture, are benefiting those ones. So those probably will be our top 3 picks for sectors to concentrate in.
Particularly the cement, especially because of the construction that's ongoing.
Correct.
But for how long do you think that will last?
Well, there's a whole focus of building out on infrastructure. So the effect of that is if you're going to be building new roads, bridges, railways, airports, ports, houses, then you're clearly going to be looking for support, product from the cement manufacturers.
So the report says reform or be relegated. Talk to us about the consequences of being relegated.
Well, we are already beginning to feel that, because while we're so busy focusing on our economy and our own internal problems, we forget to see that we're living in a competitive world. We're looking at a world where there's a Trump presidency, which is now becoming more isolationist. There's Brexit happening in Britain. There are elections happening all over Europe, France, Italy.